Hey, it's Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and we are finally back with the weekly roundups or whatnot. It's been like a 3-week break or something like that. There's been nothing on Kickstarter. I can't do a dedicated weekly roundup to cover some game that two people have heard of and are backing. It's hard, but it is what it is. But they are finally back, and this week is still a light week. We have a few updates on the front and back of this video, timestamps down below as always, and then we have I think 4 or 5 campaigns we're actually covering. Not a lot going on there. Next week's gonna pick up the pace a bit with like 5 or 6, maybe it's more than that. I think this might have been like 7 to 9 different Kickstarters popping up next week, so there'll be a little more to talk about. And then from there, I believe it will be continuing to pick up throughout the month of January, picking up as people finally start spending the money that they got, or I don't know what they have. Anyways, starting off with a bit of an update, Kingdom Rush Elemental Uprising. This is one I talked about briefly in my weekly update. I forgot to talk about it in my upcoming Kickstarters, along with a few other games, including Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which will be coming to Kickstarter on January 19th. The reason I'm focusing on Kingdom Rush over here is it is on GameFound. This is coming to GameFound February 9th. This is going to be the standalone expansion. The standalone game for Kingdom Rush, introducing a new stuff. Think of it as Arcadia Quest and Arcadia Quest Inferno. Two different games that can certainly be combined to a degree, but each standing on their own, bringing different gameplay elements to the table. The reason I'm focusing on this right now is, to be frank, I'm going to heavily push things that are going to be on GameFound, or more specifically, larger things with an audience that are on GameFound. I will be pushing and promoting those a bit more than other campaigns in general, and that's not because of the games themselves. It's because I'd love to see GameFound as a platform do well. I'd love to see GameFound to continue to grow, and I don't care if it becomes the default or not, but I want it to become a true Kickstarter competitor to keep the space alive, to keep it fresh. Kickstarter has lasted in the board game space as the dominant platform for like 15 years without really truly innovating in any way around board gamers' needs, except until recently, until this past year. And so, just to be very clear, I'm not getting paid by GameFound for this. They have no idea that I'm specifically taking this stance, unless they've watched other videos where I said I'd probably take the stance. But yeah, this is just me wanting to see the GameFound platform in general do well, because I think it did very well compared to Kickstarter for ISS Vanguard, and I want to see it continue to do well. Moving on from there is another Awakened Realms update, this one around Etherfields. And again, this is completely unrelated from my Awakened Realms themselves. This is an app that is being developed, or was developed, by fans alone. I believe completely not in association with Awakened Realms, so completely on their own, I believe. This is the same people who put together the app for the 4-page learning guide for Etherfields that was shared and talked about and whatnot. They did that, and they have it over here in their first place. You can click through and go through the very first place, see all the details there. Or you can hop into the campaign, click on Core Belshazzar, type in a script number, and hit enter, and what's this? You want to give me some unnecessary rubbish? I won't touch it for anything in the world. Return it to the storage. Done. So basically you can go through Etherfields, and apparently now you know something about unnecessary rubbish that will totally be a spoiler for something. I don't know if you can figure that out. But in any case, if you are a fan of Etherfields, if you are playing Etherfields, I recommend giving this one a shot. I have not had the opportunity to try it myself, because since this app came out, I have not had, and by the way, links down below, of course, so there'll be a link to the app, but I have not had the opportunity to, I have not been playing Etherfields since this app came out, but as soon as I get Etherfields back to the table, I will be doing so with this app, because just by jumping around in it, it seems like it is significantly easier than flipping through the book of scripts or whatnot, and so that's going to be the Etherfields update. Moving on from there, we have Chronicles of Drunagor Apocalypse. This is going to be by Creative Game Studio. Creative Game Studio is the creator of Chronicles of Drunagor, which is the Kickstarter that I am likely most excited for from things that will be arriving in the somewhat near future. And Chronicles of Drunagor Apocalypse, they made an announcement about that. Don't worry, it's not actually coming to Kickstarter just yet. It's not showing up anytime soon. It is showing up at Kickstarter. Well, it says Kickstarter coming soon, but they've said, don't worry, you'll have time to play Chronicles of Drunagor. You'll have time to see if it's a game for you before they actually push the Kickstarter out. I don't know whether that means you'll have 2 weeks or 2 months or 6 months. I have no idea the exact timeline that you are being given to experience Chronicles of Drunagor. I hope it's a decent amount of time. My usual goal is like at least 3 to 6 months. Kingdom Rush is definitely pushing that. I think Kingdom Rush is going to be in the range of 2 months in terms of when people got it till when the next Kickstarter is coming. But then again, technically you can call it 3 months once you factor in the Kickstarter runtime as well, or in this case the GameFound runtime. But yeah, I generally like there to be at least a little bit of window for people to actually get their games to the table. That being said, this is more just an announcement to keep you in the loop that this is a thing. If you want to be a part of the conversation, if you want to be have a guiding hand in your feedback and telling them what you like, don't like, all that stuff, then there's a link down below. I'll link to it, as well as that they're also building out a Facebook more of a community around their game. So if you want to jump in there and to get a feel or feedback or social or any of that stuff, I'll throw a few links down below. Moving on from there, we have our first actual Kickstarter campaign, Masters of Mutanite Innovative Spatial Deck Building Game. This is going to be, I believe I'm quoting Maple University, it could have been someone else, but I believe I'm quoting Maple University when I say this is basically King of Tokyo, but with deck building instead of dice. Now, what I mean by that is, first of all, the visual appeal of the game is very much, cartoony with standees for creatures or heroes or whatever. Very much has that kind of King of Tokyo look to it. But additionally, it's going to be a lighter yet strategic game, meaning it falls very much into the category of this is not some heavy skirmish game, nor is this some kids game. This is a game with actual strategy, actual choices, actual consequences to decision, actual fun building up of your heroes as you do different things and escalate your powers and, do things that augment your throws and then get more stuff that do additional throws. It really has a degree of building your character out in a way that best suits itself with powers and abilities and all that, but it's doing so with the premise of deck building. You're going to wander around to different areas collecting cards to add to your deck, so you have to constantly decide, are you, how far do you want to venture, what risks do you want to take, because that card might be the perfect card to add to your deck to augment your abilities. It seems to be struggling, frankly, which is kind of a little bit surprising given the amount of attention this has gotten in terms of content creation, which is always a fascinating conversation. We have the Dice Tower, and by the way, here are some solid quotes, solid testimonials. I always give testimonials a hard time when they are not solid. These are solid. Easy to pick up, ridiculously fun. I want to play again right away. That's a solid testimonial. Saturday morning cartoon style epicness, but with really refined elegance out of the deck building. It was just a blast all the way through. We fell in love with the game. These are all solid testimonials. And if you scroll down to the content creation, they have a solid amount of actual, other testimonials, videos, or whatnot. They have John Gets Games, they had Dice Tower, they had Drive Through Games, a Board Game Closet, I think it is, Board Game Closet. We have we have Roll for Crit, we have Maple University, Our Family Plays Games, Rado, just tons and tons of content around this game. And yet there's a handful of people backing it. I mean, a relative handful, but 238 people backing it with all of the combined views on that. Something about the messaging or something is off here, because usually a game with that much content around it would at least generate, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to blow it out of the sky. You need a combination of different things, and there's no perfect answers as to how you get a Kickstarter to fund, but something does seem interesting here. Like, then in some way, some message is not being transmitted. The game actually does look fairly fun. I mean, if you look through it, so it's a funny little thing. I read through the update over here, the outreach and improving the campaign, and I said that the gameplay is unclear. One of the problems that they're talking about, basically the same thing I'm talking about here, but something is off, something's not working, and the project awareness outreach is lacking in some way, the game name is an issue, all these potential issues. One of the issues identified is the gameplay is unclear unless you watch a long video. And I was like, that's not true at all. I watched the video on the first page over here, and 3 minutes, and this 3-minute video really told me exactly how to play the game. I felt I walked away with a good picture after 3 minutes. But then I read the next update, and apparently the 3-minute video was added after the fact. So that this video was the solution, and I guess it perfectly addressed the solution because I walked away being far more interested in the game after that. As far as value, I don't usually talk about value. I don't really do that deep dive when a game isn't funding yet. I'll be keeping an eye on it. Hopefully it funds, or perhaps hopefully they relaunch and come back stronger with more awareness. It seems that people are interested in the game, the people who are already interested, but they're just, for some reason, they're not picking up a large enough audience, at least not yet. Moving on from there, we have Otto Game Over, the most abstract game ever. Otto is going to be a very interesting abstract game with a board that's going to basically be this style of board over here. Every piece fits in, every piece has 4 sides, every piece will automatically fit onto the board space, but the way they fit onto the board space and the shapes they create will define the game. Now, to be very clear, your first thought might be, oh, this looks like Tsuro. It's not Tsuro. It's not a game where you're moving pieces around the board. Rather, it's about the shapes you create. They have an excellent GIF or GIF or whatever on how to play the game, from game setup to how to score to secret cards. The general principle of scoring is as you put down tiles, you are creating shapes. So you might create, let's see if we can time this perfectly, how to make this small circle. So what you're going to do, I'm just going to watch it. You see, you put this down, boom, and then you put it down, boom, you create a small circle, at which point you take your scoring piece and you put it on that circle. That's going to be true for small circles, large circles, squares, and then the figure 8, which is worth the most points. So you're constantly trying to create these shapes, combine that with cards and the abilities and other things that mix up the game, and you basically have a light little abstract game that seems to be well reviewed by those who have had an opportunity to get their hands in it. As far as the cost for it, it's going to be $35, 28 euros for a physical copy of the game, plus shipping. Now this is unfortunately where things get a little worse, because the price in and of itself is not necessarily problematic. It's, in the range of what you'll expect. They have plus some stretch goals, so it's a decent price, 28 euro, $35, that's fine. You may or may not get your money back on that, but, it's in the decent range. and it's likely going to be your cheapest option to get the game. The problem we have is that shipping is fairly expensive unless you're in Italy. Now, I'm not blaming them, but it does impact my own decision and anyone back in the game, really. So USA is going to be 20 extra euro just in shipping. Italy's going to be €8, Europe's 15 to 20, Canada's 25, Australia's 28, the rest of the world is 30 to 60. So all USA backers, including myself, now you know the pain of being an international backer. Whenever you have to pay a premium compared to someone else, you're like, that's so expensive, that's outrageous, why would I get the game? That's a daily life and a daily struggle for international backers when USA shipping is the cheapest, unlike it is over here. And so that's going to be the problem. Coming in at 48 euro for the game, while this might be interesting to you, and I'm not saying do or don't get it, this may well be your cheapest opportunity to get this game. With 1,200 backers, and who knows what percentage of them is international, who knows what percentage are going to sell it or whatnot, this may be your cheapest opportunity to get your hands on this game. At the same time, I doubt you'll be able to get your money back given how much is being buried into the game in potential shipping costs. Obviously, if you're from Italy paying only €8, it's a different conversation. So that's where we are with Otto. It's an interesting game. I actually am interested in getting my hands in it. It's just the price plus shipping, to me, for something that I am tempted by without being certain whether it fits in my own game collection, for €28, I'm willing to take that plunge and risk it whatnot. For €48, it's pricing itself out of my range of what I'm willing to allow myself for a casual, I wasn't aware of this kind of purchase. Moving on from there, we have Mint Bid. Mint Bid is going to be the newest line from Paketo Games. Paketo Games being the rebranding, I think it was 538, I think was their original name, but Paketo Games is the name of the line now. Mint Bid is their newest specific game from the Mint line. I believe this is their second Kickstarter since being rebranded as Paketo. And Mint Bid is going to be a kind of an interesting team-based auction game. You're going to have all these buildings that are going to be auctioned up every single round, and then you operate in teams with your neighbors. So perhaps I ally with, Jane to my left over here. My left, your left, this is my left, this is your left, who knows. I talked to Jane over here, and we decided we're going to offer 3 for that building, and then we're going to put it between us, building a little area between us and benefiting us there. But maybe Jack on my other side, I don't know what's with the J's here, but Jane and Jack, who knows, Jack on the other side says, no, let's work together and let's pay a little more. So you're constantly bidding with different teammates as allies to players on the left and the right of you in order to get these buildings and utilize them. And you use obviously the mints and whatnot to bid. Looks like an interesting premise of a game, a combination of bidding and teamworks and alliances and tableau building at the same time. Looks like a very interesting combination. As far as price points, for $10 plus shipping I believe is $6 to the US, variable to the rest of the world or whatnot. So $10 to get your hands on the game plus stretch goals. Generally, Mint games are going to fall into the category of the potential price savings down the road is so minimal. You might be able to get your hands on this for, let's say, $12 instead of $16, but without the stretch goals and everything else that was added into the campaign. So generally, it falls into this category of the Kickstarter is usually the best place to get it. You might, in worst case scenario, end up losing a few bucks compared to buying it later, but you also walk away with the exclusives and the extras. Is it an amazing back? Not particularly. Will you get your money back if you try to sell it? You'll probably lose in it. It's just too cheap, and the shipping lost there and back, you'll probably lose a few bucks. But overall, if you are interested in it, you're planning on getting it anyway, then Kickstarter is probably the best place to get your hands on it. Moving on to the biggest and the last, we have Darwin's Journey. Darwin's Journey brought to you by Thundergriff Games. This is by the same company that brought you Irari with 5,400 backers, €389,000, and then before that, Tang Garden with 10,923 backers and €863,000. And now we have Darwin's Journey with 17 days to go, and we're already at what is that converted from? It's €476,000 and 7,194 backers with 17 days to go. This has a chance, a very realistic chance of becoming Thundergriff Games' largest Kickstarter to date. I say that realizing that I'm comparing it to Tang Garden, and I didn't actually look to see whether they had any prior Kickstarters that were even larger than that. But I think I'd wager that it's the largest, but I can look at it later. We'll find out. In any case, Darwin's Journey is going to be designed by Simone Luciani and Nestor Mangoni, and it's the two of them combining it with art by Paolo Voto, and this is going to be a heavy Euro game. That's I think the game weight on Board Game Geek is rated at about 3.5, so heavy without being, crazy off the top or whatnot, but it's a heavy Euro game of optimization, mimicking Darwin's Journey across the Galapagos Islands, I believe it is, and which is going to be tons of cascading benefits back and forth, different opportunities. It's going to be in line with games like Voyage of Marco Polo, and in line with games like Newton. It's a very, very heavy Euro-based game with tons of rewarding opportunities you can do, objectives you can get, a whole bunch of stuff that I don't know all the ins and the outs and everything else, but what I do know is if you pay attention to the content creators covering this game, there is a whole lot of praise being heaped upon this game. And again, it's always tricky when you're talking about, especially when you're talking about preview channels, where they actually give a preview in terms of, rather than a review or whatnot, it's always tricky tricky finding the words in between it, but some of these words are strong testimonials. Rado was completely over the hill for it. Man vs. Meeple released a statement, I can't remember what it was, but something along the lines, let me see if I can find it here. Darwin's Journey is going to destroy top 5 games of all time list. Mark my words, it's going to be one of the best Euro games ever. From Jeremy Salinas. Now, I mean, obviously that's his opinion and not necessarily the general statement of truth, but that's a fairly big statement to make. I can tell you as a content creator, it is one thing to say I like this game, it is another thing to place definable markers on that game. To say I enjoyed this game, go out and get it, is fine. I mean, it's not the biggest thing, there's not a huge amount of weight attached to that. To say that this is my favorite Kickstarter of the year, to say this is my favorite board game of 2020, those are statements that have a real definable, measurable meaning in terms of your weight across different things, and I take those statements seriously from other content creators, and very much so from Man vs. Meeple, Jeremy Salinas. What's it called? Brody Sheard from Meeple Mountain had a lot of good things to say as well. Same with Tantrum House. Same with Before You Play. If you go through content creator after content creator, a ton of stuff to be said about this game in terms of how it was. I recommend watching Before You Play's review. If you pay attention to the last, 10 minutes of their video, they have an hour and a half long video of covering gameplay and review. But if you pay attention to the last 10 minutes of that, they seem to like it with a degree of realism thrown in, a degree of, I really liked it, but second game was not as good, but still very good. Also, it may or may not be as good with a 2-player experience compared to a higher experience. And I generally value those kinds of reviews because they give you a little bit more of a feel that's not all amazing hype, amazing buzz. I like having a little bit of realism thrown on top of the hype and the buzz, and I appreciate it Before You Play's review for that. In terms of the actual content of the game, in terms of the cost to back this game, Darwin's Journey is going to be coming in at roughly €45 for the base game plus all unlocked stretch goals. Now, to be very clear, if we follow Thundergriff's track record, if we follow the track record with other games, with Irari, with Tang Garden, there will be a retail version of this game that is cheaper than what you pay on Kickstarter, even before shipping, and shipping will add to that. That being said, it doesn't come with stretch goals, so you have to weigh that up. Do you prefer the stretch goals, or do you prefer saving $20? That is a very real conversation, and I understand whichever you choose. If you are on the fence about this game, honestly, if you're on the fence and you don't want to spend €45 plus shipping or €70 for the collector's edition, then just go ahead and wait for retail and spend, I don't know, $40, $45 to get the game without any of the extras and see how reviews play out. If you are on the fence, I do recommend that. Speaking for myself though, I am not 100% certain, but I'm 95% certain that I will be backing it myself. And the reason for that is because, and I'll be backing it at the Darwin's Journeys Collector's Edition, because once you're getting it, you may as well get the Collector's Edition, coming in at €70, bringing you all the stretch goals. Additionally, let's go through what the game comes with. The base game's coming with everything you're seeing over here. The map, the meeples, the pieces, the cardboard wax seals, the crew cards, the cardboard coins, the transparent research tokens, all this stuff you're seeing over here is in the base game. That is all stuff you'll get in retail as well so far, except this all includes all unlocked stretch goals, which we'll get to soon. The collector's edition is going to bump that up with more. We have everything included in the base game, but then we have 40 metal coins in 2 types, 68 soft plastic wax seals, a stand-up cotton bag for the wax seals, and then as well as that, the Darwin's Journey Fireland expansion. So in other words, for an extra €25, you're getting a full expansion plus a whole bunch of upgraded components. My recommendation is that once you're getting this, bump yourself up from the base game to the collector's edition. I believe you'll see a significant amount more value if you are keeping the game, as well as if you are getting rid of the game. Past that, as far as stretch goals, let's go through the stretch goals, what you get over there. And by the way, this is going to be the content of the Firebrand expansion. The Fireland expansion is going to be this map over here, more meeples, more stuff, more whatever, everything else here. Past that, in terms of stretch goals, it goes through stretch goals. And by the way, this game is available on Tabletop Simulator, to give it a shot, so you can check it out there. If you are on the fence, it's another opportunity to check it out in terms of pushing you over. Stretch goals, I'm just going to scroll through them without overly focusing on them, but we have scenarios, player aids, evolution wooden tokens, Beagle objective, solo mode, new illustrations, 2 scenarios, correspondence tiles, etc., age wood finish, special actions, different drawings, more boats or whatever it is, new ocean track, crew card, punch board, increased punch board thickness, insect turn order wooden tokens, a whole bunch of stuff as you keep going through it, because like I said, at $700,000, or I may have gone too high, at $500,000 raised, 7,000 backers, there's a lot of stretch goals that have been knocked out. Keep in mind, some of these may show up there, may end up showing up in retail. That's how some stretch goals work. Unless it's marked as Kickstarter exclusive, sometimes they end up being general stretch goals that go into the retail edition as well. Others, not so much. As far as add-ons, we have the Darwin's mini expansion, which I believe if you signed up for the newsletter, I believe you got this for free. It's too late if you didn't. I believe it's too late if you didn't already now. For game sleeves, 80 microns, 100 game sleeves for €4. I generally recommend Sleeve Kings. That's my usual thing. And again, no, I'm not getting paid by them. I don't take money from anyone in this space, and if I ever do, I'll start letting you know. Every once in a while, I get these questions, and I just want to be clear. There will be a tag. I'll let people know all that. And then finally, for €15, realistic wooden player lenses to replace the chips. This is honestly the hard one, and I think this is the one that I think this has the potential of pushing people away to a degree, because when you have someone on the fence between, and honestly, I might be projecting here, because I might be projecting the way I look at things, but I was very on the fence as to whether I should just get this at retail, versus whether I should get the collector's edition now, and I was going to get the collector's edition, and I saw these realistic wooden player lenses, and I was like, well, I have to either get those because I want everything, or just get partial, and then once I'm not getting everything, I may as well just get the retail edition. And so I almost talked myself out of backing. The reason I am still backing, and the reason I'm jumping in and getting these player lenses, is because of my usual logic for myself. If I like this game, I don't mind paying $100 for a Euro that I really love. And if I'm getting rid of this game, and this is the part that's key, paying attention to Thunder Grift's Kickstarter collector's editions that they have in the past, Tang Garden, Iwari, if you pay attention to them, they sell for more than what people paid for them. So these games should, by all accounts, hold their values, combine a ton of praise for Darwin's Journey, combine all the people who are hyping it up, combined with Thundergrift's track record of their games holding their value in the aftermarket and then some. People who went all in on Tang Garden, people who went all in on Arari were able to see their money back and then some, including the shipping they paid, which makes Darwin's Journey, in my opinion, a very safe back, especially considering that I am personally interested and personally intrigued as to whether it'll join the ranks of my favorite Euro games, or whether I'll turn around and sell it and get $30 more than what I paid for it, and it's all safe either way. Past that, one more thing worth mentioning is, additionally, if you back this game, you will get full access to the Thundergrift Bazaar in the Pledge Manager, which is a fancy way of saying you'll have opportunities to jump in on some of their other games, including Spirits of the Forest, Tang Garden, Irari, the Matchbox Collection, all their other games. If you really wanted that Tang Garden Deluxe Pledge, there may be limited quantities available in the, I don't know if they said limited quantities, yeah, with limited quantities. There may be limited quantities of it available in the Thundergrift Bazaar, otherwise known as the Pledge Manager. And that's going to be everything with Tang Garden. Not Tang Garden. That's going to be everything with Darwin's Journey, an overall safe back for a game that has a lot of praise, and by the way, 17 days to go, so we have plenty of time to see more information about the game. That's going to be everything as far as active Kickstarters, as far as things coming up next week. So first of all, we have Tinner's Trail coming on January 11th, which is, well, today by your accounts. So Tinner's Trail will be, I'm filming this on the 10th, so that's why I can't cover Tinner's Trail, but Tinner's Trail will be coming up shortly. This is a game designed by Martin Wasson. This is the reprint of the game with gameplay changes. Rest assured, I'll be keeping an eye on this one because, well, I'm excited for myself. From there, we have the Animation Collection coming up, I believe, on the 13th. I think it was. I can't remember offhand, but I believe it's coming on the 13th. This is going to be 3 different games with more of a younger audience. CMON's definitely doing a little bit more. Between Marvel United and between this, they're definitely crossing different lines of having heavy gamer games and having more accessible, more partnered up arrangements in order to bring things to the mass market. As long as they keep delivering the games that I've been enjoying from them, I don't really care. And by the way, I did enjoy Scooby-Doo. Would not play it with other adults alone, or I mean, I did already, so I guess I would, but would be looking at it more as a family-friendly game, but I really enjoyed it and plan to get my hands on it. Teen Titans and Looney Tunes, I have not played yet, but come on, I'll probably get it. And then lastly, Primal the Awakening. This is not coming up in the next week. This is coming up January 19th, so why am I talking about this now? Because if you pay attention to the channel tomorrow at 10 a.m. or whatever it is, the usual standard time, Eastern Standard Time, I will have Primal the Awakening, a review of the game coming up. I've had the opportunity to play this game 4 times now. There's 2 scenarios. I've played both of them twice, and this game is, well, I'll let you know tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I am Alex Radical from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good one. See, it's been so long since I've done these weekly roundups, or it feels like so long, that some of you may have even forgotten that I do these little behind the scenes on the weekly roundups where I just let the camera roll. Those that clicked away, and those that haven't, I get to do a little tease of something in some way. And by tease, sometimes it's just me telling you a bad joke or singing or something bad, who knows what. But, and by the way, to those new here and for the first time who've never seen this before, hi, this is what I do on my Monday videos, usually, not always. But in any case, Primal the Awakening. So, I mean, I'll save you the time. I am loving this game. Seriously, it was, and to be very clear, and I go into this in the review, but I'm just going to talk more frankly now, as opposed to the review where I have a vibe and a way I'm trying to talk and just keep moving. I can be a little more easygoing, relaxed here or whatnot. The video's done. Most people clicked away by now. But Primal the Awakening, I played my first game with Jesse Anderson from Cracklope. That was my first experience with the game. I walked away from game one thinking that it was good. I thought it was good, but I wasn't sure if I was backing it yet. I really wasn't. And I talked notes with Jesse. I don't remember, we had a follow-up at the end where we exchanged notes in the video. You'll see that as well. But you'll see we're both like intrigued, but not like amazingly hyped. And I enjoyed it. I just wasn't sure if I needed to add this to my collection considering how many games I have. But I liked it. I would have heartily recommended it. Just said, solid game, maybe not for me. That was game one. But I did want to play game two. The way I put it to Jesse is I would say rarely, not never. I've rarely been wrong about my first impressions when I felt strongly about something. If I strongly felt that I liked it, I rarely change my mind after 2 or 3 plays. And if I strongly feel I dislike it, I rarely change my mind after 2 and 3 plays. But there are games, and Primal is one of them, where I see potential, but I want to explore it more. And that's where things can go either way, really. They can really go either way. And for Primal, my second play cemented it as a game that I wanted. I was like, this is more intriguing, more interesting. The combination of card play, of playing out your cards, of having fun with it, all that. I was definitely much more interested after game two. And game 3 and 4 just totally cemented it. You see, game 3 is where I went to the second intro scenario. I played intro scenario 1, I played what's referred to as the prologue twice, and then I played the introductory scenario twice. And the introductory scenario totally sold it for me. Absolutely sold it for me. I was already in after game 2, but game 3 just pushed me over the edge because the monsters feel drastically different. Drastically, I might be overselling it. The monsters feel very much different. They do have a different feel in the way they navigate what is effectively a tiny little board. And then the actual the upgrades and whatnot, because the second scenario gave us upgrades that we didn't have in the prologue. So we had better weapons, better equipment, better armor, better things that gave us more tools to try to manage this game state. And I'm really enjoying it. It's very much a puzzle. It's not going to be for everyone. This is not Kingdom Death Monster. This is not some tactical board where you're maneuvering across different regions, but I like it for that. I appreciate the card play more than anything else in this game. And at this point, we're bordering on full review, so I guess I'll cut it off. But the short version is, you can watch my review for more information. The short version is, I do not think Primal will be a game for everyone. I think there will be people who will be disappointed by the game they get. I think there are people who are going to back it thinking it's one thing, and they will not get the thing they were hoping for. That being said, I think there are a lot of people who will really enjoy this game, and I'm definitely one of those people. The card play and the puzzle and the figuring out how to min-max everything to attack the monster and deal like 15 damage in a single turn, it's a lot of fun. That's basically it. I don't know why I bothered doing reviews if I'm going to do a full review in the end of this video. That's okay. Apparently only like 40% of people watch till the end anyway, so the other 60% can see it tomorrow. Until next time, I'm Alex. Have a good one.